All right, everybody, what is going on? Good afternoon. The deadline for using the franchise tag or transition tag has come and gone, and the Seattle Seahawks have not utilized either tag officially. I know it was a couple hours ago that the deadline actually went by. I wanted to wait a little bit to see if maybe anything would sneak in under the gun, maybe at the very last second, or maybe it'd get reported a little bit late. You never know. But I think we can now safely say we know what happened with the tags. So the Seahawks did not use theirs, and now they cannot, to be clear. That's what the deadline is. And only three teams actually utilized the franchise tag: Atlanta with Kyle Pitts, Dallas with George Pickens, and as of earlier today, and this obviously was kind of the big one that we were waiting on, the New York Jets did indeed use it on Breece Hall. And that's a little bit of a monkey wrench here. And by little bit, I mean a big monkey wrench because to me, Breece Hall would have been one of the chief candidates to replace Walker with if we lose Ken Walker. But now you can't really have that conversation because now, on top of giving Breece Hall a big contract, you would need to give the Jets compensation. And I don't know what that compensation would look like, but clearly they value Breece Hall probably more than they should. I do understand he's a good player, but I don't know what the Jets are thinking with this one. They got so many things right last season with all the trades they made, and then they do something like this that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I believe the Colts used the transition tag on Daniel Jones, is my understanding. That obviously doesn't really have anything to do with us. So I think that's it. Not a lot of tag usage across the league this year. As is typical, the tag is not something that teams want to use. It's something they pull out when they feel like they have to use it, and these teams felt like clearly they had to. So, yeah, this means that Ken Walker is almost certainly going to be a free agent next week. And at this point, I have to imagine that even if he is thinking about returning to Seattle, he's going to want to test the market. If you make it this far and you get this close to open free agency, why not see what's out there? So, yeah, he's going to be testing. Now, it was reported weeks ago that the Seahawks were not likely to use their franchise tag. John Schneider doesn't like to use it. He's only done it twice in his entire time as Seahawks GM. And look, it's not a good thing to use. This was a circumstance where it would have made some sense to use it, but only as a prelude for an extension where like you use the franchise tag to keep him in place until you can come to a long-term extension, and the player tends to not particularly like it when they get tagged and it can ruin relationships. I get it. That doesn't mean it doesn't it isn't it's a weapon you can use still. So I understand that some people are going to be a little bit frustrated by this, especially in light of some recent reporting concerning Ken Walker. You had this from Corbin, who pointed out, and maybe this is a circumstance where we can get angry at the Jets more than the Seahawks. Speaking with sources from two teams expected to pursue Ken Walker the third, the value of Breece Hall's franchise tag, which is 14.2 million, likely will be the sweet spot in APY on multi-year deal for the back. So basically what that means is Corbin Smith is expecting at least two teams to end up offering Ken Walker at some point a contract around $14.2 million per year. So, in other words, Ken Walker's not coming back. If he gets offered 14.2 million by another team, even if it's a bad team, even if it's a team like the Giants or the Titans or something like that, I don't see any way Walker turns that money down. This is the only big contract he's likely to get in his NFL career, and I don't see any way the Seahawks match that. And honestly, I don't think they should. I know it hurts, but Ken Walker is not worth $14.2 million a year. He's just not. You can argue that you can overpay him because you're trying to keep a Super Bowl core together and you're trying to win another Super Bowl next year and all that stuff, but he's not worth 14.2 million per year, even with the cap going up. I don't think that is where his value lies. So if he does indeed, and this is Corbin Smith here and talking about two teams saying this, If he gets 14.2 million per year, it's over. I don't think the Seahawks are going to get close to that. I think they're looking at like 10 million. Maybe they go up to like 11. There's no way they're going to 14 in my mind. And I don't expect Walker, and I don't think anybody should expect Walker to turn down that kind of money to come back to Seattle for significantly less. This is not 1 million a year. This is more than 4 million a year, possibly. So I get it. I get it. And look, I appreciate the time that we had with Ken Walker for sure, but he's got to go get that money. I totally get it. This isn't a quarterback. This isn't an offensive lineman. Guys who play a long, long time in this league. Running backs, they don't last. So probably gone. You got this from Sleeper, and this also comes from Albert Breer, by the way, so it's not Sleeper reporting this. But Albert Breer reports that Walker will probably wind up getting somewhere between 12 and 16 million per season. So that's Breer. And the number between 12 and 16 is 14, so it does kind of line up with what Corbin said. So it looks like Walker's going to get a premium because he did win Super Bowl MVP, and I get it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You cash in when you can, and he is a very talented player, and he is a lot of fun, but you also have to be real here. And I don't know if Denver or Kansas City is going to give him that kind of money either. I don't know. I think that if he does get, like, say 16 million a year, that's going to come from a team like the Giants or the Titans, where they just feel like they have money to burn and they don't really know what to do, so they're just going to throw money at whoever, and they know they're going to have to overpay to get the guy because they're not a good team and they're not an appealing destination. And that's how the league works. That's how this league works. The way the NFL works and the way most sports work is that because of the salary cap, good players leave good teams and go to bad teams because the bad teams have more money to pay them. So that's kind of how this works. So I don't know if Denver and Kansas City are going to be willing to give this kind of money to Walker either. We'll see. I'd be kind of surprised. To me, that kind of is a betrayal of their formula, right? Especially Kansas City. Kansas City, a team that is perfectly content to try to win games with substandard running backs or mediocre running backs, has won 3 Super Bowls in the last decade with really not much to speak of at the running back position. I think it'd be a mistake for them to pay this kind of money to a back. There's got to be like some kind of happy middle ground between Ken Walker at 16 million a year and Isaiah Pacheco. But again, even if it's not Denver and Kansas City, it's going to be other teams like Tennessee and New York. Now, one thing that Corbin also reported on not that long ago that kind of relates to what we're talking about here, he has been told that the Seahawks are monitoring a couple backs on the free agent market, and one of the names he threw out was Tyler Algier, which, I mean, compelling, right? He's a good running back. He's a capable running back, but you are getting a little bit of a limited skill set there. I hope Algier is not the replacement for Walker. I hope he's a replacement for Charbonnet, but you are going to have to stack some running backs on top of each other if Walker goes. And I mean, I can read the writing on the wall here, people. Walker looks like he's gone. I don't see any way he doesn't get overpaid. I don't see how he doesn't accept the overpay, and I don't see how Seattle rises to meet the overpay. It's just one of those things where running back is not the position to go crazy at. Running back is not the, and for this team, I know it's a little bit different because we are a run-heavy team, and I know that we did lean heavily on Walker to win that Super Bowl, but still, he's, bottom line is, he's worth what he's worth, objectively speaking. And I like him. I know most of us like him. I know most of us appreciate him, but look at the running backs that get paid that kind of money. Put them next to Ken Walker. It's not the same. It's not the same. He's not on the level of those guys. So I understand. And look, I'm going to be as frustrated as anybody if we get to the end of the season next year and we don't get back to the Super Bowl because we can't run the ball very well. And it feels like a Ken Walker would have put us over the edge. Yeah, I'm going to be frustrated. Don't get me wrong. But I do respect the fact that Ken Walker is a player that is probably worth somewhere around 10 to 11 million a year. He's going to get way more than that because of the hot streak he went on at the end of the year, including winning Super Bowl MVP. And If you're not willing to break your rules, then don't break them. And look, I don't know if running back is the position to break your rule at anyway. Break your rule for a quarterback. Break your rule for an edge rusher. Break your rule for a left tackle. So I wish there were better plan Bs out there. There are not a lot of plan Bs that I love. Algier is a good back. I do like him. But man, I hope that's not the Walker replacement strategy because they have so little in common. It's not even funny. All right, so that's the Walker stuff. Looks like he is gone. Looks like he's getting a lot of money. Shout out to the New York Jets for ruining this for us more than it was already probably ruined. One other note, real quick here at the end. Another Seahawk that may become a free agent next week is Jake Bobo. He is not going to be tendered. He will become an unrestricted free agent because of that. However, apparently the team still wants to keep him. They just don't want to tender him because that would cost over $3 million for a one-year deal. And they don't feel like Bobo's worth $3 million, which is understandable. I do like Bobo well enough, but he's not worth $3 million. And you don't have to tender him. You should be able to get him at a little bit of a lower cost than that. All right, so that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think. I know the Walker stuff is, I mean, some people are going to have a hard time saying goodbye, but I do think that we're going to end up saying goodbye. And I don't have a great replacement strategy in mind, but we'll talk more about that as time goes by. For all we know, we do get him back. We can worry about replacing him after he's gone, I guess, as a fan base. Now, hopefully John Schneider knows what he's doing, but right now, I think you just got to assume that he does because we just won the Super Bowl. And hey, at the end of the day, running backs are running backs. I get it. Let me know what you guys think, though. See you guys later. Go Hawks.